Good day to each and everyone. My name is Lovelyn Dela Cruz. So, in this video, we will talking about verbal and nonverbal communication. But before we start, let me share to you our objectives for this lesson. Objectives. In the end of this video, everyone should know about the following. What is the difference between verbal and nonverbal communication? What are the types of verbal and nonverbal communication? So, what is communication? Communication is a process of sharing and conveying message or information from one person to another within and across channels, contexts, and media and culture. We can communicate in two ways, which is the verbal and nonverbal communication. So, what is verbal communication? Verbal communication refers to an interaction in which words are used to relay a message, while nonverbal refers to an interaction where behavior is used to convey and represent meanings. Now, let's go back to verbal communication and let's talk about how we should execute this property in order to have an effective communication. These are the things that you really need to consider when communicating with others verbally. So we have, first, appropriateness. Appropriateness means that the language used should be appropriate to the environment or occasions, as we encounter different people anywhere and anytime. Those people has different characteristics, personality, abilities, profession, and many more. Because of this, we can say that not all people are the same. That's why it is really must to know how to deal with different people, different occasions. Like for example, you are in the business meeting. You cannot talk or act like how you talk or how you are in your house. You need to be formal and act matured, unlike when you are in the party, it is the time to be formal. Because if you act like that, people will think you're weirdo. This is already the time that you are allowed to talk casually. You can now be chill, relax, and enjoy. Just remember, for you to be safe, just act and speak accordingly in every situation that you are in. And that's the meaning of appropriateness. Now, let's proceed to the next type of verbal communication. We have brevity. Brevity use simple yet precise and powerful words. Avoid filters and insubstantial expression. In brevity, you don't be too broad in speaking. You just say directly to your point. Don't need to add more extra words because sometimes this can be lost to the point. We also have clarity. Now for clarity, you have to clearly state your message and express your ideas and feelings. Just remember that you always state your message clearly to avoid any assumption and misunderstanding. We also have ethics. We should be carefully choosing in consideration of the gender, rules, ethnicity, preference, and status of the person you are talking to. For ethnicity, just try to imagine you are talking to a child. How about talking to a woman, a man, or to an old, to a beggar? And how about talking to the president? And how about imagining talking to your crush or a foreigner? Did you communicate them in a same way? I bet not, because we communicate the people we use various is depending at the age, gender, and ethnicity of the person. The last we need to consider in talking to other people verbally is we have vividness. So vividness is to find ways to charm your audience through the use of vivid words. Now, let's proceed to nonverbal communication. These are the types of nonverbal communication. First, we have adornment, chronemics, haptics, kinesics, locomotion, facial expression, ecolosics, olfactics, paralanguage, posture, and the last is prosemics. So, let's discuss the types of nonverbal one by one. So, first, the adornment. This refers to how a person presents himself or herself. For example, like the items that they use, hairstyle, and jewelry. Next, we also have chronemics. This actually refers to how people communicate through their use of time. So, for chronemics, this is something to do with time, and one good example is like, let's say you are in the relationship for a very first time. It have a sparks, give butterflies in your belly, and then you are always together like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then when you go home, sometimes you will chat her or him, I miss you, right? So, in that situation, you can say that loves you because he or she can spend her time with you. But what after a year of being together, he or she suddenly get cold to you because he or she don't time for you anymore? What will you feel? You will get hurt or you will overthink about. In that case, you will feel he or she don't love you anymore. Okay, and that's what you call chronemics, communicating through the use of your time. And now we have haptics. This refers to a tactile communication through touch. So for haptics, these are something to do with the way you touch other people can tell what kind of relationship you have with them. For example, shaking hands, hugging, kissing. Next is kinesic. For this time, you are communicating to other people through body language. Like for example, when we nodding our head, that is yes, and we shake our head is no. Now, let's proceed to other types of nonverbal communication, which is locomotion. And this time, this is something to do with movements. The way you move, it can also have a meaning to a certain people who will see it. For example, if you are running fast, people will think that you are late. But if you are walking, people will think that you have so much time and you're not in a hurry. And for the next slide, we have facial expression. Your facial expression depends on your emotion. So that's certain movements. For example, when you're happy, your face looks like happy. You are smiling or laughing. Or if you are sad, your face looks like this. Or if you are angry, your face look like this. And we also have olfactics. This type of communication, this actually focuses on communicating through your smell. Next, we have paralanguage. This is something to do with your voice qualities and manner of speaking, which includes pause, silence, volume, tone of voice, and speed for paralanguage. This is something to do with how you speak. For example, when you are mad, usually your voice is loud, but if not, it is calm or your voice is normal. Next, let's proceed to the next type of nonverbal communication, which is posture. This is so nothing to do with the position of your body. Now, let's proceed to the last type of nonverbal communication, which is prosemics. This refers to interpersonal space. In conclusion, to achieve good communication skills through verbal and nonverbal methods, one should be capable and ready to identify the combination of communication functions that may bring out success in the communication strategy or plan to be used.